He brought dignity and status to the city court. You know, back in the day, the old city court, and actually when I started working for Johnny, I would go over there, it was like a jungle. You had people just standing around, you couldn't tell who was who, smoke everywhere, cigar smoke. You couldn't find the judge sometimes because he was out mingling with the crowd. There was people all up, just everywhere. And when Walter Williams was elected, he made a change. And he was going to make the change, but an incident occurred. But the change that he made was that you had to sit down, number one. You could not stand unless he gave you permission to stand. And number two, you could not approach the bench unless he gave you permission to approach the bench. Now he did that for a reason, because one day a prisoner who got tired of sitting around got up, walked out of court, walked out of the building, walked out of 10th Street, and they found him only at the time that they was calling up his case, and they found him on Main Street. And he told, you know how far Main Street is from Lindsay Street. And he said, well, I just got tired of waiting and didn't nobody stop me. So Walter said he had to have a clear view of the courtroom, so he wanted everybody to sit down so he could look to make sure nothing like that would happen again.
I enjoyed working with him on cases, but Walter also had this thing about, he reached out to a lot of people. We sort of considered in our office that I was the introvert, workaholic type person. He was the extrovert, as you might want to put that term. He knew everybody and actually had relations with other people. He reached out to an awful lot of people, and in doing so, he helped an awful lot of people. In fact, resolved their problems without him even charging for the help. So I think that was the biggest thing about Walter.
Walter loves to dress. If you look at any of the pictures that are taken, he looks regal, okay? But that's the character that he wants everybody to show.
The other thing he did was that he had a mannerism in the court that some would say were controversial, that he did a little more than what he should have done, but he had a message in what he was doing, and sometimes the press really didn't pick that up. But he was basically illustrating some issues that I think we are confronting today. Walter actually made national news. I don't know if you remember, but there was a national news show that came down to interview Walter, and the reporter, who had to take his earring off before he went to the courtroom to talk to Walter, really showed what Chattanooga was in terms of its city court. But I'll give you one example, one interesting example. There was a drug pusher that was arrested, an alleged drug pusher, and he was he thought he was a big boy, but he wasn't that big up in the circle of drugs. But Walter was going through the arraignment, and Walter was reading over the legal documents and so forth. And so the drug pusher said, "Look, Judge, if you don't mind, I got to be somewhere. I don't have a lot of time for this. Just tell me how much my bill is, because I got a pocket full of money, and I'll reach down here and pay whatever you tell me to pay, because I'm gonna pay my lawyer whatever you tell the lawyer to pay." So Walter looked at him and said, "Okay, young man," said, "reach in your pocket and bring out $1.2 million. If not, you're gonna go to jail." And of course, the person ended up in jail. And he appealed the case. The judge, that was a harsh bond, and the judge was very harsh on Walter for antics and clowning, but Walter was sending a message at that point.
He was also a comrade, because in the friendshipping and fellowshipping, he helped many people navigate through the difficulties of law as well as community rules.
The impact he had was the fact that when he came back and practiced law, him and I practiced law together for a few years before he was elected judge. That in itself, to me, was a great impact in Chattanooga, to have, for the first time, an African-American male in what we call a black law firm. we had no knowledge that that had ever happened. We later found out that it did happen back in the early 1900s.
He represented what I call a man of good character.
There are many times that Walter would take that time to work with people that were before him. He would take them in his office, talk to them, work with them, and work things out within the scope of the law to address their needs and their issues. He took the position that everyone coming before him was not a bad person. Some of them were bad, but some of them had problems, and he wanted to help them. So I think he was really not the hanging judge, he was the helping judge.